Stuck it right up them. That's what you did. You stuck it right up them.
Sons of the Spray.
23 minutes before 6. As that's the bus charging down Leeds Street in Footscray, where we find ourselves this morning, broadcasting from Cafe Quay. And I've just been informed by Nola that it was formerly, when she was growing up just around the corner, it was known as Ray's Cafe, R-A-Y, but is now Cafe Quay. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Quay spelled C-U-I, of course.
It is, and it's owned by Fook. So we're very grateful. We'd like to thank Fook that we're here. And Lynn is helping.
What an amazing coincidence, because when we were in Vietnam, Fook was our driver.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, amazing coincidence.
Yeah, and Duncan behind the jump here making coffees. Good morning to you, Duncan, as we broadcast from the heart of Bulldog land. And I've been sitting down writing drop in and say g'day, by the way. Don't know how deep the pockets are here, Beersy, but we'll be good for a few coffees, won't we? Cafe Queen, Leeds Street, right opposite Footscray Station, which I'll be using to get home. The reasons that I'm genuinely excited, as are Nola, Sally and Andrew, who popped in to see us. Andrew, too busy he's got one Bulldog shirt, he said, and it's in the wash. But Nola and Sally, they've got their scarves on.
Yes.
Sally's looks as if it was made in the immediate aftermath of the 1954 Grand Final. Looks like it's got a bit of tooth on it. They're popping over to the Whitten Oval today, to the Bulldog shop, they said, to garner their resources and to load up on more outward indicia of being supporters of the Bulldogs.
I hope that the Bulldogs Guernsey on Grand Final Day is the same as the one they wore in 1954, and not some modern translation with a dog on it and all that business.
Well, I tell you what,
I want the one that Charlie Sutton wore.
In 1954?
1954.
Well, who was the last person to wear a Footscray jumper and hold up the Premiership trophy? There we go.
The last person?
Yeah, the last person to wear a Footscray jump gel. I hope I've got this right, and I'll shoot someone if it's not.
I'll get you.
Hang on, hold that thought. 96900 693. Who was the last person to hold up the Premiership trophy in a Footscray jumper? 96900 693. Beersy's onto it.
I think I actually went to the 1954 Grand Final when Charlie Sutton led the Bulldogs out to beat Melbourne, but I was so young that I don't remember anything about it.
Oh, well, you're probably so traumatised, given that they beat...
No. I didn't understand football when I was that age. My father took me along on his knee.
Yeah.
In the days when you had to queue up over the footbridge to buy your ticket on Grand Final Day, not like today.
Given what you've told me about your father, did you get wet at all, sitting on your father's knee?
I think I had to carry him home. I was about 2.
Let's go to line 9, and a person whose name starts with J. Good morning to you. Who was the last person in a Footscray jumper to hold up the Premiership trophy?
That was the old days when they swapped the jumpers. Graham Arthur in 61.
Yeah, Graham Arthur is the Hawthorn captain in 1961 when they used to swap. What was take 2 bottles of the Bortley or a pancake parlour voucher person on line 9 whose name starts with J?
Of course, the most famous photo of somebody in the wrong jumper was Daryl Baldock.
Yeah. So I'd like to know, what year did they swap? What year did they stop the tradition? Because, of course, there's Daryl Baldock in the Collingwood Guernsey in 1966.
Yeah, Des Tuddenham's Guernsey, and Des Tuddenham's wearing his.
Yeah, so I wonder, that was Joe. I wonder what year the edict, there must have been an edict. A bit like the edict banning floggers. There would be a year in which they said no more floggers.
Who's they?
The authorities. The VFL.
I don't know. I think
there must have been an edict, don't swap jumpers.
Well, I think a whole lot of people got together, a whole lot of footballers got together and said, listen, we're not going to swap the jumper. I want to save this because this is my souvenir of the Grand Final. I think Daryl Baldock, for example, regretted that he didn't keep his Premiership winning jumper.
Well, I'll tell you what, you wouldn't give it up these days if you were the winning player, would you? Because you whack it, you don't want your opponent whacking it on eBay, do you?
Yes, it goes into your $500,000 trust fund.
Showers with a possible late storm. It's currently 8, top of 17.
Now,
we're at Cafe Quay, CUI, opposite Footscray Station. Come down and say hello. We're trying to keep out of the regulars' ways, but fully, I mean, Everyone. I mean, the Swans, you know, they won in 2012. They won in 2005. Leo Barry U-Star. Everyone wants the Bulldogs to win on Saturday.
Well, isn't it funny that back in 1961, the public sympathy would have been with Hawthorn because they'd never won a flag.
That's right, and the Bulldogs
And
had won one as recently as 1954.
No, as recently as. And everybody would have said, oh, you know, good old Hawks, you know, they... You know, nice, honest, working-class team down there in Hawthorn, you know. So then now the sympathy is all with Hawthorn, with Footscray.
I reckon the Bulldogs can win. That's my...
don't. You said Geelong were going to win.
No, then I said Sydney, and now I'm on the Bulldogs. Gee, there's no bandwagon big enough. He said,
no. But, well, I was at the dog park yesterday, and of course Mr. Know-All comes down, and he said, oh, you know, that they're the first team ever to get in a grand final from seventh, the first team ever to win 2 interstate finals, and the first team to beat last year's Premier and get in the grand final. Oh, we had all the stats.
It's an explosion in the stats factory.
So,
the Bulldogs.
And, of course, the bloke who was down at the dog park, another fellow who played for Footscray, I can't think of his name. He's played a couple of games. He was, you know, he said, tonight, put your house on them.
Right, okay.
That was the Hawthorn game. And I said, no, they can't beat Hawthorn.
I got a text that afternoon from when the Hawks played the Bulldogs. I got a text that afternoon from Peter Maher saying, has your team's bus crashed on the way to the ground because all the money in the world has been put on the Bulldogs to beat the Hawks?
Really?
And famous last words, I said, no worries, it'll be all right. I was told a fact about this.
So you now put a curse on the dog, have you?
No, now I can ask Nola, Sally and Andrew. I was, because my partner person comes from Williamstown, and I was at a birthday party the day after Footscray beat Hawthorn in that final, and they said in the West you could open the window and open a window, and every time the Bulldogs scored a goal, you could hear the cheering going up throughout the neighbourhood. Really? Now, that's either the greatest load of bulties you've ever heard or one of the great stories of the West. What do we reckon? Is that true? If you'd held out Nola, if you'd opened the window on that night and the Bulldogs kicked the goal, would you have heard it roar around the suburbs?
Yes.
She hesitated, looked at Andrew. She's like that witness in the armed robbery trial who's asked a question, who looks over at the leading member of the gangland family. Yes. Michael, we got some info on Bulldogs merchandise.
I have. My wife, who's mad Bulldogs, went out yesterday. Lombard sold out by 10 a.m. So then she went to Demi's, sold out. Everyone is sold out.
Righto. Well, we'll put a call into the club and make sure that there is some. Where is the place where our friends here can go and buy some merchandise as the sun comes up, Michael?
Did you see any evidence in 2 games last weekend of a deliberate out-of-bounds decision affecting the game?
The law must be changed immediately
because it could have,
so that the to remove any possibility
of tarnishing
that the premiership can be decided by that absurd deliberate out-of-bounds rule.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous.
And we'll call for it now.
I call for it. We demand. Oh, sorry, you're holding up the finger like.
Oh yes,
like it's usually it's a bloke who's just blown himself up in Aleppo, but nowhere. So we call for the immediate change to non-enforcement of that rule. You give an umpire an opportunity to run 40 metres going like this, and they'll take it at every available opportunity.
Oh, well, what about to be the centre of attention in the grand final day?
Yeah. Imagine if the grand final is determined by a deliberate out-of-bounds.
At 20 metres around from the goal.
Yeah.
And the dying minutes. In the shadows of the post.
Yeah, that's right. There we go.
Any more cliches that I can't think?
That's an interesting photograph of that smouldering ruin. Where's that from? Aleppo? They go, that used to be the MCG, but they burnt it down. It's 14 minutes to 6. We're broadcasting from Cafe CUI here in Leeds Street, opposite the railway station in Footscray. It's 14 minutes to 6. Mel joins us. Good morning, Mel.
Good morning, Ross and John. Yes, I was born the year that Western Bulldogs, Footscray lost to Hawthorn, and I think we are going to win the flag, and the Western suburbs are going to be bigger than the coming of Jesus Christ.
Well, I tell you what,
Last person who said that was John Lennon, and look at the trouble they got into.
We'll get on. Can we get Damon Johnson, the editor of the Herald Sun, on and say that if the Bulldogs won the premiership on Saturday and that afternoon Jesus Christ came back to earth, what would he put on the front page? It might be a dead eat. Alan.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. Just following up on your inquiry about the last time someone wearing a Bulldogs or Footscray jersey won a premiership. What about the VFL on Sunday?
Yeah, good point. Yesterday, one of the we're here at Cafe Quay, and another Western Bulldogs scarf has strolled through the doors. Let us get that coffee, sir. Let us get that coffee for you. Alan, that's a very good suggestion. Hey, Alan, have you ever seen that movie in the Second World War where the Brits found a dead British soldier and put on in his uniform the fake plans for the D-Day landing?
The Man Who Never Was, I think that film was called.
Yeah. How about yesterday, Lin Jong strapping up his non-injured shoulder in order to delude Casey into attacking the wrong limb? That's one of the great. It goes along with some of the great ruses of history. David, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ross. Well, you're mentioning about a final being decided by an out of bounds on the full. Well, as a Hawthorn supporter, do you remember the 1983 qualifying final against Fitzroy when a late out of bounds on the full against Fitzroy? I think Michael Tucker kicked the goal to put Hawthorn in front by 4 points, and
I remember it very well. A couple of questions, David. Question one. Was Michael Tuck the nearest Hawthorn player at the time?
I was actually at that game because my little brother was playing in a big end Little League then, but I can't actually recall.
I don't think he was. And the second question, for 2 bottles of the Bortley or Pancake Parlour voucher, who was the umpire who paid the deliberate out of bounds?
It wasn't Ian Robinson, is that was it?
No, it wasn't. Take 2 bottles of De Bortley for making the accurate observation, and we'll keep it open for who was the umpire who paid the deliberate out of bounds in the 1983 qualifying final.
Who was the nearest player to the ball?
I don't know. I don't think it was Michael Tuck. We're broadcasting from 96900 693. Who was the umpy? We're broadcasting from Cafe Quay, and it was dodgy too. Opposite Footscray train station. Swing by and say hi. Because there is a lot of support here for the Dogs. The count so far, 4 customers, 3 scarves. Andrew, you're a disgrace. It is 6 minutes to 6. 3 minutes to 6 as we broadcast from Cafe Quay, and that is the owner. Fook has arrived to join us. We've now got 4 scarves as Tony joins us, he'll be... he's just greeted. Are you related to each other? And cousins. They just greeted each other with a peck on each cheek,
yes,
which means that they either haven't seen each other for a while or they're planning a hit.
But they're keeping it in the family.
They are too. Hey, Cameron, who was the umpire who paid the deliberate out of bounds to Michael Tuck?
The one and only Glenn James.
It was the mighty and amusing Glenn James, though not very amusing to Fitzroy supporters on that occasion, I should think. Take 2 bottles of the Bortley or a Pancake Parlour voucher with compliments. That beautiful Cabernet and friends from the Bortley.
It wouldn't have been very amusing for Bernie Quinlan, who played the game of his life.
Super boot. He was unbelievable. My WTF this morning is, when is the last time you did something through gritted teeth? Because I can tell you something that was done by gritted teeth overnight. There is the cartoon in the Herald Sun this morning by the immensely talented Mark Knight.
Yes.
It is of a greyhound bus with Bulldog supporters leaning out of it, including a bulldog with their tongues flapping in the breeze as they return triumphantly. Mark Knight is an extremely passionate Sydney Swans supporter.
Is he really?
He is. And he would have done that through gritted teeth. But it's a beautiful cartoon, I think much admired by dog supporters. And Mark, good morning to you. And his beloved Sydney Swans will be taking on the Doggies this weekend. Righto, so much to catch up on as we broadcast from Cafe Quay, CUI. It's opposite, it's in Leeds Street, but it's right at the junction opposite the Footscray train station. 6 o'clock on AW.
Franco Cozzo, have the pleasure to present to you
Breakfast with Ross Stevenson and John Burns.
Where? In Footscray.
It is 7 minutes after 6, which is where we are. We're at Cafe Quay, CUI, which is on the corner of Leeds Street and Irving Street, directly opposite the Footscray station. Come and say hello. We've got a collection of the world's largest collection of Bulldog scarves at the moment, and we're about to speak with Tony Cavallaro from Cavallaro and Sons, who's previously fed us cannoli I've only ever heard the word cannoli on the episodes of The Sopranos, but Tony makes magnificent cannoli. He'll be joining us shortly. To the affairs of the day, because this week will be entirely dominated by talk of the Western Bulldogs, which is why we're here. I would love to find a Footscray supporter who was born on the 26th of September 1954. Do you reckon there's any chance that is possible? Because that is the day after the Bulldogs won their last premiership. Is there a Bulldog supporter who was born on the 26th of September 1954, or is that too big an ask? We got nearest the pin so far is Chris, the Bulldog supporter, who was born in July 1955. Can we get any closer than that? We're looking ideally for a Bulldog supporter born the day after the 54 flag, which would be the 26th of September 1954. And Chris, the Bulldog supporter, is the nearest the pin so far with July 1955.
And the reason you give that particular date is you want to be able to tell these people that they have, in their lifetime, not been around when Footscray won a premiership.
That has not been around. They have not won a premiership in their lifetime. And it's going to be very busy. We're trying to keep out of people's ways, but there are loads of Bulldog scarves here this morning. In particular, Nola, Sally and Andrew making their way through a small repast, a small breakfast, which is approximately the size of a football boot each. And they are mad Bulldog supporters. We're about to speak with Tony Cavallaro from Cavallaro and Sons in Footscray. We've met Tony before when we came out for a tour of the West and ended up having some of his delightful cannoli. Come and see us. Nearest the pin so far, Gary, the Bulldog supporter, was born on the 9th of April 1955. He is now the clubhouse leader. I don't know that anything's at stake here. We're just trying to find the person who may have lived their entire lives and not been the subject to a Bulldogs premiership, which was on the 25th of September 1954. Other side of this, Tony Cavallaro from Cavallaro and Sons in Footscray as we broadcast from Cafe Qui opposite Footscray Station.
Franco Cozzo, have the pleasure to present to you
Breakfast with Ross Stevenson and John Burns.
Where in Footscray.
17 minutes after 6, we're broadcasting from Footscray this morning. Loads of Bulldogs scarves around, even at 17 after 6. And that is the sound of the espresso machine in the background here at Cafe Qui. Pop in and within reason, Beersy will buy you a coffee. He's nodding away, he's a generous bloke.
Actually, at the moment, they should rename the suburb Footscray.
They should. Tony Cavallaro from Cavallaro and Sons in Footscray, just round the corner opposite the market. Tony, good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Hey, lovely to see you again. You made us say some beautiful cannoli a couple of years ago.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it.
It was magnificent. Hey, you're a mad Bulldog supporter?
Well, yeah, both. Mad and a Bulldog supporter, yeah.
Hey, Cavallaro and Sons opened when?
We opened in 1956, so it was after the premiership win, but we were here for the 61 Grand Final.
Yeah, sorry about that. What does it mean to the West? What does it mean to you? So the Cavallaro Sons has been here 60 years. It's 62 since the Bulldogs won their last premiership. What does it mean?
Oh, look, it means a lot. You know, I equate people from the West as hard-working people, honest, and without a hint of arrogance. And I mean, you know, that's what Footscray personified. The Western Bulldogs do.
Do most people who live in Footscray barrack for the Dogs? Or does everybody barrack for the Dogs? Is what I meant to ask you.
No, I don't think everybody does, but you know, I mean, there's a lot of.
Now, is there that real community feeling though about the football team and the suburb?
There is. I mean, all you have to do was go see what came off the bus there at the Whitten Oval the other day, and it was just beautiful to watch.
Well, there was an article in the Age, I think, last year about where football supporters come from their clubs, and remarkably, it is still reasonably local. That St Kilda supporters come from the Bayside, and the Hawks come from the east, and Bulldog supporters come from the west. Luke Beveridge, Tony, is the man not a genius?
Oh, he's not a coach. He must be a psychologist
and a mentor.
And a mentor. Look, the things that he's done with our team, and it's not even about football. It's about humans. It's about people. And I think that's what we Bulldog supporters love about our team is that You watch our coach, and he's not afraid to shed a tear in front of cameras. He shows that human side of football, and I think that's why the players just love him, and we love him because I just love being a Footscray supporter, a Bulldog supporter, because what I see is, players of other teams berating each other, like happened with a person who I won't name from the Giants on Saturday.
You mean one of the players?
Yeah, one of the players.
I think we know which one.
Berating his teammates.
He's old enough to know better.
Yes, and he comes from an old club with black and white stripes. But anyway,
what do you think of? I've just looked your name up on Google Translate, and your name, Caballero, translates as to Caballero. I thought it was
that's because it's Cavallaro.
Caballero. I thought it was going to be something like Mighty Horseman or something.
Well, it does.
Now listen, what do you think of my favourite new player, Marcus Bontempelli?
He's Italian.
Yeah.
It's an Italian name.
He's Italian.
He's certainly got a Roman nose.
He's Italian, and we love him for that, and we love Liber, and I mean, you saw when I walked in, I kissed my cousin. That's us. We're Italian. It's because we're cannoli.
The Italians are very, very. You're not in this for an honourable loss on Saturday, are you? And Luke Beveridge is not in this game to have an honourable loss. They are there to win this game, and they can win the game.
Well, yes. I mean, I'm just proud of the boys for, getting over the hurdle of the West, and then getting over the hurdle of a triple premier, and then getting over the hurdle of having to play a game in Sydney against a team who's been spoon-fed from the start. We've been given nothing, and I'm just happy that they're there, but I don't think...
you what, make a mental note to pay full price for the cannoli whenever I go to see Tony.
But I don't think...
How do shoplifters go at Cavallaro and Sons?
But I don't think the boys and Luke Beveridge are there just to play the game. They're there to win.
Hey, thanks for popping in. Stay around for a coffee as I shake your hand and wish you the very, very best. And the underdog, especially if Isaac Smith had kicked straight, the underdog would have won 6 of the 8 finals games. So only the Adelaide games were won by the favourite.
Well, look, I'm happy to be there, and you don't know what a thrill it is for us to play this game. I've been waiting all my life for it.
You have since 1956. Tony, lovely to see you again. And of course, the Bulldogs are the only team never to have won a grand final on television. And that is something that needs to be rectified on Saturday. It is 23 after 6 on 3W.
The wait is over. The wait is over. And the ghosts of 7 preliminary finals that have appeared have all faded away. The Dogs and the Swans are going to be doing it next week.
Absolutely magnificent. Morning to you, Ando.
Tony has seen all those ghosts have come into his bedroom at different times because he's an extremely passionate Bulldog, along with people such as Mervyn Hughes, Julia Gillard. Who else do you think of? William McInnes, he's a Bulldog? Yeah.
Do you think of famous ones here? I think of my mate Pricey in Hong Kong.
Mark Seymour. I'm getting Mark Seymour.
Yeah, Russell Gilbert.
Yeah, Russell for sure. Now, when the Footscray was first admitted to the then VFL, you would know 1925. Who were the other 2 teams that came in with them? You know that as well.
Hawthorn and North Melbourne.
Yeah, it wasn't always going to be that way. It was going to be Hawthorn, Footscray and a VFA side of the time. In a suburban, trendy area, near where Burnsdale lives. I need the name of that side, please.
96900 693.
Before I come to the Bulldogs, which is what it's all about, just congratulations. Having just my star of the finals, you think of players who have been outstanding, and the obvious ones, Bontempelli, you mentioned before. Who do you two think of? And I'm talking about the 2 sides that remain. So the Bulldogs, just so the Bulldogs. One player from the Bulldogs who was...
Picken?
Yeah, well picked. Someone said, who are their tall forwards? Well, they don't actually have a lot because Tom Boyd had to go into the ruck against the very disappointing Shane Mumford, who I thought put up the white flag on Saturday night. But Liam Picken just keeps presenting as a quasi centre-half forward. He's been absolutely magnificent. And talk about magnificent, the first quarter of the Sydney Swans on Friday night was the best footy I've seen this year.
What from Buddy Franklin, you mean?
Oh, well, Buddy Franklin and plenty of mates, Burns. All 22 of them, absolutely brilliant they were. Now, back in 1925, Hawthorn Footscray were going to be admitted originally with the two blues from Paran, which was known by?
Known by Alan O'Keefe of Ascot Vale. I'm going to talk to you at 7:25. Would like to talk to you, Ando, about portents that say that the Bulldogs will win on the weekend, because I think there are a few of them, but I need your help with one of them. It is 6:30, broadcast from Cafe Quay in the heart of Western Bulldogs country. We're opposite Footscray Station at 58 Leeds Street. I think we're 55, but anyway, drop by, say hello. Good luck to you, and thanks for welcoming us into the heart of Western Bulldogs country.
No problem, mate. Go the Dogs.
Thanks,
fellas. Nice to see you.
We're broadcasting from Cafe Quay. Just a couple of quick muck on the plucks. 96900 693. One from both of us. Please, please, please do not enforce the out-of-bounds deliberate rule in this Saturday's grand final. That ridiculous interpretation. You cannot possibly have the prospect that the premiership can be determined by one of those umpires running from 150 metres away going like this because the crowds yelled loudly.
Yeah.
It cannot be allowed to happen. Someone who almost has muck on the pluck is Daniel Andrews. Can you imagine what it would have been like to have a public holiday this coming Friday for a match between Sydney and Western Sydney? No one would have been yelling harder for the Western Bulldogs than Daniel Andrews. Diane, good morning to you. Got muck on the pluck?
Oh, yes. I barracked for Footscray very early in my age, and I changed to St Kilda in 1966 when they won the grand final. I was born on the 27th of 1954.
We've been looking for the person who was born on the 26th of September 1954.
26. No, I'm 27th.
No, you're going to be hard to beat, Diane.
Oh, okay.
Because we're looking for the person who was born the day after the Doggies won their last premiership. They won it on the 25th of September 1954. You were born on the 27th of September 1954 and then changed to the Saints because they won the premiership in 1966.
Yes.
I won't be asking you for the Tats Lotto numbers, Diane.
Near Sirakoski's Hotel.
Good on you, Diane.
We have lost the lads. Justin Smith here sitting back in the studio. We're going to take a quick break. We will fix it. Promise. We'll come back straight after this.
12 minutes to 7. This is 3AW Breakfast for CrownBet. The game just changed. Gamble responsibly. Hey, this is the Rumour File's wide open. 96900 693. If you call now, you'll be the first person through. 96900 693. We've got Brianna ready to take your calls. 96900 693. At 12 minutes to 7, broadcasting from the heart of Western Bulldogs land at Cafe Quay, here opposite the Footscray Station.
You're working on your omens for the grand final?
Oh, I've got one very, very big omen as to why the Western Bulldogs will win.
I've got two.
Excellent.
Doggy, how we love you, how we love you, how Doggy Hawkins.
4 minutes to 7. We're broadcasting from Cafe Quay here opposite Footscray Station, corner of Leeds and Irving Street. Come and join us. The boss, Beersy, will buy you a coffee. He's made of money. Rumour File's wide open, 96900 693. Come and join us for the Rumour File at 4 to 7. Coming down to say hello and joining a number of Bulldog scarves this morning is Kerry Banyard, proud Doggy supporter. How have you been since Saturday night?
I've got the shakes and I've still got the shakes now.
Yeah, so's Burns over. He takes for Melbourne. Your father and your grandfather played for the Doggies?
Yes, they did.
Right, tell us the story. Give us the names.
Norman Edwards was my father. He played in the early 1950s. He didn't play in the grand final because Jack Collins broke his leg and Teddy Whitten came in for him, I think, in about 52 that his dad stopped playing.
And Grandpa?
And Grandpa was early 30s, I think, and he played for Yarraville, he played for Footscray, and he played for Victoria.
Righto, so you're Footscray royalty. And,
yes, we are.
And you live in the area?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
I was told, my partner person comes from a Williamstown family, and we had a birthday party recently, and someone said the night that you beat the Hawks, that if you opened a window, in the west, every time the Bulldogs kicked a goal, you could hear cheering from the houses.
Yeah, well, I was one of the one at the ground, so yes, you probably could. It was hysterical.
Now, you told me that you've got a son. Does he barrack for Footscray?
I have two sons. They both barrack for Footscray, and I have two grandsons, both barrack for Footscray.
Well, where is one of your sons currently?
He's in LA. He's flying in on Friday morning.
Which is a late edition I've got an early edition of the Rumour File. I have a very great mate who lives in Hong Kong who is a mad Bulldog supporter. This week coincides with the start of the Chinese national holiday. which means that there are very, very limited flights out of Asia for any Bulldog supporters who are trying to get back to Melbourne for the grand final.
Really?
Yeah.
I know he's got his flights. We're done.
Stay with us at 2 to 7. Kerry Banyard, proud Footscray supporter. And the Rumour File is open 96900 693. Have you got any memorabilia? Have you got
Yes,
granddad's jumper or anything like that?
I've got my father's blazer, and it's framed, and I gave it to my 2 boys for Christmas one year.
Right, that's something for them to fight over one day.
That's what I figure.
Hey, what about your coach? I mean,
amazing.
I've played amateur. I played 150 games of amateur football. He took them from C to B to A with 3 premierships. That cannot be done. If you'd asked anyone beforehand, it cannot be done, and he did it.
Yeah. Oh, he's been amazing. He's brought the West to life again. And he really has.
Oh, there's thanks for the quote.
Oh, yeah.
Brought the West to life again. Kerry, good luck on Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Kerry Banyard, proud Footscray supporter, father and grandfather both played for the Doggies. Rumour File time, 96900 693. Come and join us for the Monday edition of the Rumour File. We have people here to take your call as we broadcast from Cafe Cui, C-U-R, spelled, opposite the Footscray station. Come and join us for a coffee. It's 7 o'clock, Rumour File time on 3AW. 18 after 7 on 3AW. We broadcast from the heart of Footscray this morning, opposite the station at Cafe Cui, C-U-I, with Lynn and with Fook and with Duncan and with others that we haven't yet met. But come and join us for a coffee. Bearsy's here, the boss. He's good for a coffee for you. Drop in to say hello. Ando in a minute.
Sports Report for Volvo Cars Belia, Malvern Road, South Yarra, and the Footy Frenzy on now at Seconds World.
Ando joins us for second edition sport for the family past Eureka Skydeck 88.
We'll go back to 1987. After 8 rounds, I had 15 votes in the Brownlow, 5 best on grounds. Didn't get another vote. My name, please.
96900 693. We're looking for portents that the Bulldogs will win this premiership.
Yes.
I've got one in front of me, and that is... it is, of course, Dennis Cometti's last grand final call on Saturday, and he played for the for Footscray.
He did indeed. In 1969, he was stationed in Melbourne for a brief time with radio station 3DB, where he wore both a cravat, very long sideboards. He might have had a tash, I reckon, Dennis. Certainly the Kelglare was very, very long. And he was playing the likes of... CCR and that type of music around that time. He was a disc jockey, Dennis, and he played a few games in the twos.
I'm reading the VFL reserve side from 1971, and in that side with Dennis Cometti, who was the follower, were 2 players, one called Stillman and one called Joslin. They couldn't be the cricketers, could they?
They both are the cricketers, Les Stillman and Les Joslin, 2 Leses. Les Stillman played, I reckon he played with 2 VFL clubs, 2 VFA clubs, 2 state cricket sides. He did 2s of everything, Les Stillman. They're the same blokes, I'm sure. Well, hang on, is it Joslin, Les or Graham?
Yeah, that just says Joslin.
Maybe Graham Joslin, the younger brother who was known as Jumbo, I think. I loved Lynn John. I watched the VFL Grand Final yesterday. Lynn John was absolutely outstanding, and you imagine he's made a very compelling case for inclusion this weekend. And the Casey Scorpions players went for his shoulder, which was the left shoulder that were heavily strapped like bees to a honeypot. And then he tells them afterwards he put the strapping on the wrong shoulder.
Absolutely magnificent.
Oh, stroke of genius. I'm probably inspired by Luke Beveridge, given everything else he does, seems to turn to genius. And there are coaches you see who are just made for the caper, and Alistair Clarkson is such a person. I thought Malcolm Blight was that type of person. I thought he had a stroke of genius. History would say Mick Moldhouse belongs in that group. And Luke Beveridge, I'm sure, will become that person, whether it's this Saturday or not. It doesn't really matter. He's got him to a grand final. But there was after the game on Saturday night, I don't know whether you two looked and thought, are they over-celebrating? But what this group has achieved and the way they've gone about it, you tend to trust them and say they'll keep things in wraps and will be there when it matters on Saturday. I personally think the Swans, but that could change. That could change. Patrick Dangerfield will win the Brownlow medal tonight. He went an outsider. I think Jack Stephen from St Kilda, Chris Judd made mention of him to me last week, just said he sticks out, he runs with the ball a lot and breaks away from packs very like Dangerfield. And I think he is good value at, what did Matty Campbell say, $15 in the market without Dangerfield.
Yeah, well, that's the only way you make it interesting tonight.
Does the buy work? You weren't happy with the buy?
No, but if you look at the situation where, for the first time ever, the two teams who got a rest both got defeated, you've got to suggest it might be the buy, don't you?
If the AFL's intention was to create a more level playing field, they've been stunningly successful. And that's what they want to do, fine. I personally think you probably reward sides that are even and win a lot of games throughout the season and manage their lists through injury management very well.
The other thing is you do not want that premiership decided by a deliberate out-of-bounds decision, do you?
Yeah, you're very worried about that. Well, it could have been a 50-metre penalty to Tom Scully, I reckon, late in the game. I think he could have got one. Paul Meldrum, 15 votes after 8 rounds in 1987, known by
Michael Garfield of Toorak. Thanks, Ando. We broadcast from Cafe Qui, CUI, here in Footscray. Out of this, we're going to speak to someone who played amateur footy under Luke Beveridge. And Doggy supporters, what's your message for the club? And if you're going to win, what are the reasons why? Come and join us.
The wait is over. The wait is over. And the ghosts of 7 preliminary finals that have appeared have all faded away. The Dogs and the Swans are going to be doing it next week.
We are broadcasting from Cafe Qui here in Footscray, opposite Footscray Station. Come and join us. We'll buy you a coffee. We are in the presence of royalty. We're about to speak to a man who played under Luke Beveridge, but we are speaking here. We have Dawn Cadman who joins us, who has just provided us with evidence. She is a mad Bulldog supporter. She is here with a scarf on. Dawn was born on the 25th of September 1954, which is the date of the Bulldogs' last premiership. You are the... And listen to that. You are the queen of Footscray, Dawn.
Yes, I am. I just love the Bulldogs. I live near the ground.
Are you Footscray born and bred?
No, I was born in Queen Victoria Hospital. Sorry.
Right. But was your family living in
no, Tasmania.
In Tassie?
Yeah.
Right, but you have been a Bulldog supporter all your life?
Yeah.
And at what age did it dawn on you, pardon the pun,
About
Dawn,
6.
that you were born on the day that the Bulldogs won a premiership?
About 6 years old.
Right, so about 1960 it dawned on you. Did you think that you would be waiting until 2016 for your next opportunity?
No, I can't believe it. Yesterday when the VFL won, and on Saturday I just screamed and cried. I didn't think I'd ever see it in my lifetime.
Do you remember 1961 when they played Hawthorn and lost? Were you listening to that game on the wireless?
No, I might have been drunk somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, at 7 years of age. Yeah, righto.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Well,
no idea.
That's one of the factors, of course, is that Footscray, the Bulldogs, are the only team never to have won a grand final on television. And that is a wrong that can be rectified this Saturday afternoon. You're in the ballot for a ticket?
Yes.
But your other members, your son's got a ticket?
My son automatically goes straight in because he's got more money than me.
Right,
so
okay.
I've got 11 game membership and I pay for my 2 grandchildren. So I have to wait this week to see if I get a ticket.
Dawn, best of luck in that particular endeavour and amazing. Thanks for coming down to see us. She was born on the 25th of September 1954. That is fair dinkum unbelievable. Dawn, good luck.
It's been my best birthday present ever.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Thank you so much.
Dawn Cadman. We are 96900 693 Doggy supporters. What's your message for the club? And if there is a portent that says that you are going to win, what is it? Tony Cavallaro from Cavallaro and Sons, the pasticeria here in who's bought some beautiful cannoli. He says, of course, their last grand final was in 61. Reverse of 61 is 16, and the result will be reversed. That's one of his portents. My portent is that Dennis Cometti's calling his last grand final. Dennis Cometti played for Footscray. Luke Winsell, the third of St Bede's, who played under Luke Beveridge. Luke, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ross and John. How are you?
Good. Luke, I played a bit of amateur footy. If you'd said to me ever that a team can win the C grade premiership, followed by the B, followed by the A, I wouldn't have been alone in saying that it could not be done. Yet, Luke Beveridge did it.
Yeah, well, we did. First time in 127 years of the competition, we did that. So, hadn't been done before, and I'm not sure if it will be done again, but time will tell.
I mean, it is virtually impossible to have done it, and look at him now. He's got the Bulldogs into a grand final. What does he do? What is it about him?
There's a fair bit's been said over the last couple of years, hasn't there? But he gets to a place to engage. He's a real people person and a real storyteller. So on top of that, he builds really quality relationships with the players, and not only the players, but the other staff and all the people around the club and the community. So everyone's really engaged and swimming in the same direction.
Have you seen any similarity in the way the Dogs are playing this year to how St Bede's were playing when they won those 3 premierships?
I think there are certainly elements in the A grade year, the 2008 year, our final year. I know Bevo tried a few things in C grade and B grade with different elements of success. Obviously, we won the premierships, but this year, I think what he always told us is, for example, in the back line was, we'd play in front, we'd be just a kick away, we were able to take risk and run and link, and knowing that we might get done on the turnover, or if there was a poor execution, we might be left hanging out, and then I might concede an easy goal that looks silly at times, but he always backed us into attack, take marks, and run. So it is quite similar, and the other aspect was that sort of hunting impacts mentality and at the contest, which is what the Dogs have been able to excel in this year.
Hey, look, very early this morning, broadcasting here from Cafe Quay in Footscray, a listener came in and said of those 3 premierships for St Bede's in C and B and A, which just would say it cannot be done, that there were 15 players in the team in all who went through those 3 years. Is that true?
Oh, not quite. Not quite. We had 8 players that played in all 3 premierships. But there were certainly many players that played in 1 or 2 of those years. So a very similar squad over the 3 years, but with only 8 playing in all 3.
In all 3, but nevertheless,
Yep.
It wasn't as if you just went out and went and recruited an A-grade team, for example.
No, absolutely not. We had very much the same side over all of those years, and same with the second 18 as well, and the under-19 coming through. So the seconds won flags in that period, as did the under-19. So it was very much a whole club involvement and success.
Luke, lovely to chat to you, and let's see whether he can do it for the Bulldogs. That's Luke Wintle. Luke himself played 300 games for St Bede's.
And was captain in those 3 premierships.
Remarkable. Righto, we're looking for portents. Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, good morning. Purely based on history, the Bulldogs will win the grand final. Starting in 2000, every Olympic year after that, every side that has finished on top after round 1 has won the flag. Bulldogs are on top this year after round 1.
So based on stats, every Olympic year, every team who's been on top of the ladder after round 1 has won the premiership. We have checked that, and since 2000, we've checked that, Greg, and you are right.
Yep.
So there's one to add to the list of 16 being the reverse of 61, and Dennis Cometti's last grand final. Dennis played for Footscray.
And this is the first time a man called Easton has captained a Western.
Carl, what do you got for us, Carl?
I got a poem, boys. Go the Dogs, go Footscray. We all love the way they play. We beat the Eagles in WA and ate the Hawks on our way. Now the GWS has all gone. Bring on the Swans, bring them on. Go the Dogs, go Footscray. This Saturday is our day.
Magnificent. Well, if Dawn Cadman's the queen of Footscray, Carl, you're the king. It is showers with a possible late storm. It's currently 8, top of 17. Maybe that is there might be some civil disobedience if the Doggies can win the premiership on Saturday and create a challenge for the Attorney General, who apparently is going to pass a law that makes mooning Well, you have to say...
Which is an American expression, isn't
well,
it?
it's just at this time of the day, it's a little bit more palatable than the Australian expression. It is 14 to 8 on 3AW. We're getting all sorts of visitors here at Cafe Kui. It is Instant Radio Solutions time. We've just had a visit, and that question is from 3 police. And our question on Instant Radio Solutions time is going to be, are they here to arrest John Burns? It is 3 minutes to 8. Big crowd here at Cafe Kui in Footscray, and we've been joined by members of the Footscray Proactive Policing Unit. Aaron, Rosa and Kelly have joined us here. Give them a big round of applause. We said any Bulldog supporters amongst them, and Rosa said, well, I can be if you want me to be. She's very malleable. Noel, good morning to you. Got a question?
Good morning, boys. Yeah, I'm an avid Swan supporter for 75 years, and I just want to know, are you going to mention the Swans at all this morning or not, or is it a one-way street?
No. We just did, Noel. You're the first one, and possibly the last, but we'll make it a level playing field from tomorrow.
Oh, listen, we're in Footscray. We're not going to mention Swans here.
And Noel, we've got a member of our staff back in the studio, Brianna, who is a mad Swan supporter, who I think she's carrying out acts of defilement on our equipment back there. So annoyed is she. Karen,
good morning.
What do you got, Karen?
I'd like to know if Nick, the donut man, is still in Footscray. Is he still with us?
We're told that he's unwell at present and that Olympic Donuts is closed at the moment. He is missed, but we're looking forward to seeing him soon. Karen?
Thank you.
Mel, g'day. Mel, hello.
Hello, I have a very strange story. My father told me that my great-grandfather, so his granddad, actually died during the 1933 Swans Grand Final, and his body had to be passed over people's heads. I've never been able to find out if this is actually true.
What was his name?
Charlie Williams. 1933 Grand Final.
Right, we know the Swans played in 34. Did they play in 33 as well? So, question, did Charlie Williams die during the 1933 or 34 Grand Final, and did his corpse have to be passed over the crowd to get it out of the ground?
Yes.
That's, when we make our compilation CD, World's Most Unusual Radio Solutions question, Mel, you'll be on it.
I'd just love to know if this is true.
Did it happen? Okay. 96900 693. Quick one from Mike on line 7.
Observations correct. Yesterday when the VFL presentation to Footscray, I never seen one visible tattoo on the players. Is that correct?
Okay. And congratulations to David Hayes, his son Will Hayes, who was part of the Victorious Bulldogs side yesterday. Was there any visible tattoos? We got a couple of mad Bulldog supporters about to join us out of the 8 o'clock news. Tony Leonard amongst them.
The Dogs are in the bloody grand final.
He's nearly crying, Tone. I love to see it. Great emotion.
The wait is over. The wait is over. And the ghosts of 7 preliminary finals that have appeared have all faded away.
Well, I tell you what, we've had Jezelenko, you beauty, Leo Barry, you star. Do we now have the ghosts of 7 preliminary finals? Tony Leonard, congratulations on the call.
Thank you both, sir.
And congratulations on your Bullies being in the grand final.
Yeah, this is absolutely wonderful, and just to see so much red, white and blue at one of the iconic fast food takeaways at the end of the 82 tram stop, Footscray to Mooney Ponds, via Cordon. You should... in... arms, the manufacture of arms, of course, which is the trip there.
And what about where I parked my car down in Trugo Lane?
Trugo Lane down there, not too many of those. And for all of us here that are Footscray people, let's just have a little quick journey for those that may not get out this side of town very much. Shane will take you through the sublime delights of St Albans in a moment. But across the road, the only cyclone-wired enclosed donut van was there. One up was the leisure centre. One up was the 10-pin bowling. What's the only thing you get in a 10-pin bowling alley?
Well, you've already told me the Blue Heaven milkshake.
Blue Heaven milkshakes. Franco Cozzo, as we go further up, across the road, the Bayview Hotel, which had glorious views of the railway line. I don't know why we called it the Bayview rather than the railway. And here we are, and soak it all in, because it is just absolutely overcome with emotion. But I actually point out, Roscoe, given the fact that we do go all over Melbourne and Victoria and the world indeed, there is actually a Mason-Dixon line in the western suburbs. When you get down to the avenue in Spotswood, as we're going down the Williamstown Road, it actually becomes not, I wouldn't say heartland of the western suburbs of the Sydney/South Melbourne, but there is a genuine attachment there. If you were doing this in groovy Ferguson Street or the Strand, I think you would find there a lot of red and white support there. But, heavens above, let's just enjoy what we're having here for the rest of the week.
And your co-host for the half hour, equally mad Bulldog supporter, Shane D'Elia, the minor host at the magnificent Maha restaurant. How are you feeling?
Mate, I haven't slept. my throat's still scratchy as I grabbed Dad and my brother and my dad. We jumped on the plane, went down to Sydney and stuck it up him, so it was great.
What was that? You were about 5/24 of the crowd. I think it was 5,000 doggies and 19,000 giants. What was it like?
I didn't feel it. We were up there, we were ripping it apart. It was great support for the Bulldogs and the sea of red, white and blue.
My about the Bulldogs is your coach is a genius, right? And you were not there on Saturday for a noble loss, are you?
No.
No, people said, well, you've got to be happy with what's happened. And I just couldn't help but think that for being here for what's happened and not going on with it, be a bit like Sir Edmund saying to Sherpa, look, we're at base camp 4. Do we really need to go? The rest we'll be knocking a snifter of port over in the Nepalese arms. No one will know the difference. No, we've got this far. We have to go the rest of the journey now.
Are you going to be calling the game on Saturday? And if so, how on earth are you going to be... My father used to say to me, I should pay half price when I go to the footy because I only watch one team.
Yes, that's a fair thing.
Well, how are you going to be?
No, good. It was funny. As soon as it was the microphones went on and we started... I didn't actually sense any particular attachment to the Bulldogs, any emotional attachment to it. When the siren went, I did. And I'm thoroughly indebted to one of the great broadcasters, sport broadcasters Australia's ever had, Tim Lane, who really did carry it. I've been a little bit crook during the week, but when he said we're in the bloody grand final, all I could think of, when we talk in radio school, words like that were never to be used under any circumstance, but... the more you listen to it now, here we all are, and just faces that heavens above, we've seen it before, and not for this week for such a long time.
Stay with us. We've got Shane D'Elia and Tony Leonard. We've got issues with the line we need to clear up, but stay with us as we speak to these two tragics, and Shane can tell us what it's like growing up in St Albans, barracking for the Dogs. It's 13 after 8.
Forza Bulldog, you are the champion. You will win for sure. Come on, Footscray.
And welcome to Les Twentyman, who also joins us here at Cafe Quay. Tony Leonard was just going through a list of the Bulldog tragics. Certainly Les is one of them. And Shane D'Elia from Maha Restaurant. You grew up in St Albans. What percentage of your schoolmates barracked for the Bulldogs?
There was only a small crop of us, but especially in the early days of school, you'd get all the boys from the Bulldogs coming down, doing the footy clinics, and we'd have... I'm a bit younger than you blokes, so we'd have Liberatore and Chris Grant and, all the boys, John O and that coming in, kicking around, and they were the days you wore the colours the most proud, when the boys would come down.
Did you have any expectation, either of you, at the start of this season that you could play in a grand final?
Well, I know Bevo's not there to lose, and the whole team aren't there to lose that. Like Dougie said and a lot of the boys have said, they're not burdened with the ghosts of the past. Our players today are playing for the game, they're playing for each other, and they're not there to make up the numbers. They're not worrying about what's happened before, and they're there to win it. So,
tell us about some of the Bulldogs tragics, Tone.
Well, I know the Hemsworth boys, and I know Peter Ford will be able to fill this in better than me, but I think they were from Laverton or Hoppers Crossing originally. So there's that. Will Anderson, probably the best known comic in Australia, grew and transfer as well. Chaz Licciardello, one of the great boys from the Chaser. Russell Gilbert, our dear friend as well. Will McInnes, I think you spoke about. Will lived up in the north bit of 6th Street, Barclay Street, which has become very chic and trendy up that part of the world. I think the kids go to Argyle Street Primary, where my cousin went to. So there's enough of us. When we may not be many enough, but there's plenty of us that sort of, I suppose, being born in the western suburbs, you do have to sort of carry just a little bit of an extra burden from time to time. And barracking for this beautiful team is one of them which we embrace and we would never change.
1975, after North won their first flag, it was all roads lead to Arden Street. Where will all roads lead to on Saturday night? Would it be back to the Whitten Oval?
To the pub, mate. Whatever's closest to you. Oh, look, I think that hopefully all roads lead back here to Footscray. This is the home, this is the heart. You want everybody to be around here and supporting the local community.
Well, who'll be cooking at Maha on Saturday night?
It won't be me, mate. I won't be fit to be around knives, I tell you.
Tony, I got an omen for you. Yeah. The last time a fellow called Roughhead played in a grand final, his team won.
Yeah, and cousin Jordan, who not only is a fine footballer, but the work he does behind the scenes in the community, for such a young man to have such a great social conscience, that's just another great story that the Dogs have got. How
about the great Dennis Cometti calling his last grand final, having played for Footscray, 1971?
I don't want to go with the Rumour File / Don't Sue. I could read the Daily Telegraph on the way back, Guess Who Don't Sue, those social pages. Yeah. But I just wonder whether a certain prominent commentator who works for Channel 7, who may be calling his last game of football on free-to-air television, might finally out himself and reveal who he's barracked for all of the years. And I think one of the teams is playing in the grand final. He may well reveal that when he came here in 1969, that Footscray is the strongest attachment he's had to a team.
I know his favourite player is not a Footscray player. I think his favourite player was a Melbourne player.
I may be doing him a disservice, though, but I know that...
well, I get the distinct impression that Dennis this year is on his lap of honour, and he couldn't care what anyone thinks. Dennis is going to say what Dennis wants to say. So I reckon Saturday may produce some absolute pearlers.
People let things slip, but we were just having a quiet word with the great man. You do have to line up in the commentary boxes. There's just a cue to speak to Dennis. And he did use that word that gives everyone away. We. And
did he say we?
Yeah, he did. That's right. Hey, speaking of which too, Shane, at your wonderful places, Maha and Biggie Smalls, is there going to be a bit of bulldog twee on the menu, like the Liberatore lasagna? I'm probably doing him a disservice with something like, lasagna, but you've got a fair idea, Shane.
Well, we've been hunting down all the suppliers since we won the other day, and I don't think I can buy any swan meat. I mean, look, we've been thinking, do we barbecue it, do we roast it, do we boil it, do we braise it? I think it's all going to be good in a bloody kebab anyway, so we're going to give it a go.
Hey, thanks for popping in to have a chat.
Our pleasure, mate.
I've only prepared one in advance for Dennis, and that is that it's been a long time between drinks for the Bulldogs, but their coach is a beverage.
Yeah.
Shane D'Elia from Maha and our own Tony Leonard, who will be calling the grand final with the great Tim Lane on Saturday on 3AW Footy. And in the presence of a great crowd here at Cafe Kui in the heart of Footscray, opposite the station. It is 8:21 as it continues as we cross to Pete Ford, Footscray, born and bred.
Peter Ford for Storage King. They're just around the corner.
And we'll speak with Dennis Cometti on Wednesday on this program. Pete, Footscray born and bred.
Yes, very true. Born at the what was then the Footscray Hospital before it became Western General. First paid job I ever had was at a joint they opened up not far from where you are. For some reason, someone had a bizarre idea to open the Munich Barrel in Footscray. And I used to get around there in lederhosen and was forced to speak in a German accent, serving up horrendous meals to people. That was the first paid job I ever had. But no,
Well, Tony Leonard's pointing at where the Munich Barrel was. He's familiar with it.
Good memories. And the roll caller names there, I may have missed some, but of course Ernie Sigley, long-time supporter through thick and thin. And, of course, for Teddy Whitten Jr. and his family, you would love to see it happen as well, too. So, fingers crossed. But I did love the Chris Hemsworth picture, and wouldn't we all post a picture like that if we had that on offer to display to the world?
I actually thought that was sort of mocked up, that photo, until I think someone pointed out to me this morning that it's an actual real photograph of him. And we got Les Twentyman here at Cafe Kui, and he says he taught you at school, Pete.
He was my PE teacher. But the one thing that I discovered about Les is that apart from being a great PE teacher, he was very good also at reading forged handwriting from people who claiming to have letters from their parents why you couldn't go ahead and do PE that particular day.
Hey, Les, how advanced was your PE curriculum?
Well, Passes actually used to consist of running 2 laps around me.
Les Twentyman joins us. We're here at Cafe Quay in the last minutes of the program, opposite Footscray Station, with a great Bulldogs crowd here. And you're listening to the 3AW Breakfast for Crown Bet. The game just changed. Gamble responsibly. It's 24 after 8. 27 after 8. Fair warning, folks, that we're going to go out to Neil Mitchell with you singing the Bulldogs theme song. Are you up for it? Is Twentyman still here? He's just standing out the front. That's going to be up to the 8:30 news. Pete Ford.
I'll quickly point you towards 2 things. Or one I'm sure Tony Leonard could point you towards is the Olympic donut caravan there at Footscray Station. Are they still in the caravan, or I think they've gone up market now, got an actual shop, but that's absolutely legendary.
Claude Lombard says, good news, the Bulldog flags have been restocked after temporarily being sold out. So there's plenty of doggies themed stuff. Righto, we've got about 40 seconds. Righto, away we go. 3, 2, 1.
Sons of the West, red, white and blue, will come out snarling.
Keep singing. It's a big thanks to Lynn Duncan and the team at Cafe Quay, Wang, Bernie and Lyle for making the last minute setup, and big thanks to mine host Book. Neil will speak with Peter Gordon next.
Back on the puck winner, Ian. Rumour File winner, Dog Run, Dilmar Hamper.